Hello and welcome back to my channel. In today's review, we're going to be looking at something extremely exciting. The brand new Transformers Bumblebee Masterpiece Movie Series MPM-07 Volkswagen Bumblebee from the new Transformers Bumblebee Movie. Looking set of photos of the actual figures in the robot mode, the vehicle mode, top of the packaging, Transformers Masterpiece Movie Series. The side of the packaging showcases an image of Bumblebee in the robot mode, the vehicle mode, Bumblebee, and the back of the packaging showcases some of the figure's features such as the removable battle mask, articulated hands, Stinger sword, Stinger blaster, and the hidden missile bay. Turning the packaging around and to the side once more, you've got a larger image of that Volkswagen that this figure will transform into, Transformers Bumblebee, and that it is MPM-07. And here we have the MPM-07 in his robot mode as he comes packaged. Now I'm going to say straight away that this is by far one of my favourite movie masterpiece figures that Hasbro and Takara have released so far. This may even be my favourite Transformer today, and that is a massive statement, and you will see exactly why I think that when we get deep into this review. Now this review will be divided into 3 sections as it usually is. We'll start off with the robot mode, but instead of going straight to the transformation sequence, we'll actually jump into the vehicle mode, and then right at the end I will showcase in as much detail as I possibly can the transformation from robot mode to vehicle mode. The reason I'm doing this is because the transformation takes an extremely long amount of time, and for those of you who are only tuning in to see the robot mode and vehicle mode, this will be a nice easy transition instead of having to skip between the robot mode, the transformation segment, and the vehicle mode. Starting off with the details of this figure, bringing it in for a closer look. As you can see, his head sculpt has been remarkably detailed and looks extremely faithful to the CGI that we have seen in some of the trailers and promotional posters. It's got a really nice gunmetal grey applied over the top to give it this kind of weathered look, which looks really nice and definitely does look very realistic and almost makes me think that it is actually a die-cast piece, even though it is plastic. The top of the crest you have got an Autobot insignia sculpted in, unfortunately not painted. You do have the lines going throughout the helmet just to break up and bring up some of the sharper details of the sculpt. Turning it around, you even got some sculpted in detailing, which is just really nice, especially inside there where the ears would be. As you can see, the chest section too has been detailed fairly nicely as well. You've got the weathering sections there that we'll show more of in the vehicle mode. Even some of this unpainted black plastic has been detailed as well to make the whole sculpt look very authentic. Turning down to the torso section, you've also got some paintwork behind this plastic piece here, just to make it look as if though that this section has transformed over the top, which I think is an extremely nice touch. Showing you the figure's features just quickly, he does have the hidden missile bay that we saw on the packaging. We haven't seen this yet incorporated into any of the other Bumblebee figures, nor have we seen it utilised in the trailer, but I definitely think that if he does use these, it will be a very cool action sequence in the film. You see these pieces are die cast with some red paint applications in them to make it appear as if though there are missiles in there. They do just close down over the top like so. See, you've got the asymmetrical detailing in the torso, which looks really nice. The arms too, very smooth and slender. They've got some nice ridges and details as well. The hands have been detailed fantastically. Moving down to the legs, they are very smooth and very sleek in their design. As you can see, all the vehicle mode parts fold up incredibly well. All the sculpt breaks up. So there is a massive parts count on this figure. Even when you turn it around, you have got the door wings, which yes, are inaccurate, but personally I do believe that it does innovate the figure and make him look really, really cool. This is definitely one of my favourite design Bumblebee figures, and is possibly one of my favourite designs of the Transformers movie franchise in general. Turning to the top section of the figure, as you can see, the back of the wheel has also been painted in a silver paint, just to make it look extra realistic. As you can see, you've got some pistons picked out in a silver paint application. So overall, the detail on this figure is just absolutely astounding. Now turning to the figure's articulation, this is definitely where it shines massively. The head is on a ball joint, so it can look left and right. It could do the 360-degree twist. It can also look down and upwards as well as nod side to side. The arms can hinge outwards all the way like that on a hinge joint. These sections here, these shoulder pieces do move to accommodate that so you don't get any restrictions. They can move forwards and backwards also. There is a swivel just above the elbow and a 90-degree bend at the elbow there. Each of the fingers are articulated, which is something that hasn't yet been seen in the MPM line. Usually we just get the 2 fingers sculpted and then the index finger that can move, but in this case all of the fingers are in fact articulated, including the thumb. So that does allow for extra realism when posing the figure. Turning to the waist, there is a waist articulation joint which could do 360. It's very stiff on my copy, which is definitely what we like to see on these figures. There are ratcheted legs which can kick upwards about that far, go all the way, so you can definitely do a high kick. Can kick backwards quite far as well until it bumps into this back section here. The hips can also hinge out to the sides, however they're unfortunately not on ratchet joints, so they are quite loose, especially when you're plonking the figure down. As you can see, it does come undone. So I do wish they perhaps would have put some ratchet joints in the hips Turning to the knees, they are actually double jointed, however you only get a 90-degree bend out of them anyway. As you can see there, you've got the 90-degree bend. There's also a second hinge, which is the ratchet joint. But as you can see, you do not get that much more articulation from it. There is a swivel at the thigh, which is fairly stiff, and the feet are decently articulated too. There is an ankle pivot joint that is really deep. That is probably due to the transformation, but still it is executed extremely well in the robot mode, and the feet can pivot forwards and backwards very slightly. So overall, for articulation on this figure, it is absolutely fantastic. Now turning to accessories, we're going to start off with Bumblebee's signature battle mask. This has been something that we've seen on all movie versions of Bumblebee. As you can see, this has been sculpted really nicely as well. You've got different shades of yellow to pick out some of the details. Got some gunmetal grey as well, and black around the eyes. We've got that sculpted in honeycomb effect on the visor, just to make it look that much more movie accurate. In order to integrate the battle mask into the head sculpt, you simply want to lift the head crest up like so, pull this piece here out, and just simply replace it with the battle mask, and fold the crest down, and the battle mask is equipped and firmly into place. Now I have seen some reviewers complain that it isn't actually integrated into the head. However, with the complex design of this battle mask, I definitely think that the overall aesthetic of the head would be compromised if they were to integrate such a complex design. Turning to my favourite accessory that Bumblebee comes with, this is his Stinger sword. Now this was something that we have seen on the Studio Series version as well. However, as this is the masterpiece, it is a lot more detailed and probably a lot more accurate to what we will see in the movie. Some Cybertronian hieroglyphs on the blade, got some ridges to show the serrated edges, and you've got this whole compartment here to make this appear as if though this has come apart and transformed out of his arm. This just does tab into either side of his arms. As you can see there is a slot there that this peg will just very snugly plug into, and then you've got Bumblebee equipped with the signature Stinger sword that we are sure to see him fight against Blitzwing with. And turning to probably the most detailed accessory that Bumblebee comes with, here is his signature Stinger blaster. Now this has been detailed fantastically. The paintwork is amazing. As you can see, you've got the details of the thumb and the three fingers. When I integrate it into the arm, you'll see why they've done this. Barrel that's been picked out in an orange paint with like these different turrets around it. So this definitely does look like a very heavy duty weapon, and is something that we do see Bumblebee use in the latest trailer. That is definitely a very nice looking weapon. In order to integrate it into Bumblebee's hand, you just simply want to fold the three fingers out just like that. Close the thumb in and move it this way. There is a slot in there that these three fingers are going to go into, and then a slot there that the thumb will tab into. Just showing you this off. Just want to squeeze the fingers in, the thumb will snap in, and there is a peg there that will plug into the gun. There you have got the Stinger cannon attached onto Bumblebee's arm, and it does definitely look as if though it has just converted out of the hand. As you can see, you can't really see the hand, you can just about see the thumb there, but they're obviously supposed to be his three fingers, and that is meant to be his thumb. So a fantastic way to incorporate one of Bumblebee's sure to be much to use weapons in the brand new movie. Here's a quick pose with Bumblebee utilising all of his weapons, some of which are integrated into him, such as the missile pods, and the others are add-on accessories. As you can see, I think that this looks absolutely fantastic, and really do hope that this is exactly what we see in the movie. I hope that when Bumblebee fights Blitzwing, this is the plethora of weapons that he decides to use against his formidable foe. As this is a product designed by Takara Tomy, they have actually allowed for integration into the robot mode for weapon storage. So to start off with, here we've got the battle mask. It does have a little hole in there that will plug onto the back of one of Bumblebee's door wings, just like that. In order to equip the weapon onto it as well, you have got a slot there. Now turning to his Stinger sword, there is a slot there that will just tab into this section here, just to peg on like that. And that is Bumblebee with all of his weaponry integrated into his robot mode. As you can see from the front of the figure, it doesn't look as if though he's carrying any weapon. Turning to some other movie masterpiece size comparisons, here is the brand new MPM-07 Bumblebee compared next to the MPM-03 Bumblebee. As you can see, the MPM-07 Bumblebee is slightly smaller than his predecessor, as this is supposed to be Bumblebee before the 2007 movie, and I definitely do think that it does look like a nice transition between the two. You can definitely tell that this is probably a more older version of Bee, and there are details that carry through onto this one that are obviously implemented from this one. So this is definitely a very nice scale and a nice pair to show the old and the new. Here is another size comparison between MPM-07 and Optimus Prime. As you can see, Bee is considerably smaller than Optimus, as he's supposed to be. I definitely do think that this scale works exceptionally well, especially as Bumblebee has always been a lot smaller than Optimus Prime. And here we have the figure in his Volkswagen Bug or Beetle alt mode. Now, as I stated, the transformation segment will be after this segment, So if you wish to watch that, just skip this section and you will just see the transformation segment, as it is an extremely difficult process from getting this figure from robot mode to vehicle mode. But as we are on to the vehicle mode, we'll start off looking at some of the fantastic detailing that Takara and Hasbro have put onto this figure. This is one of the best painted alt modes I've ever seen on a Transformer or a Masterpiece figure. As you can see, you've got the very nice orange fade that very slowly fades into this very yellow paint. They've definitely tried to give it a very weathered look, which I think they have been extremely successful in giving it. It definitely does make it one of the more eye-catching Bumblebee toys or collectibles out there, and the paintwork is almost up there with some of the premium scaled companies. As you can see here, they have actually painted the silver paint over the headlights to make them look reflective. I do believe the headlights are probably a transparent plastic, hence why the effect has been executed so well. You've got these front headlamps here, which have been picked out in a silver and orange paint. You've got the stripe that goes onto the VW Bug logo, which has been sculpted extremely precisely and has been painted exceptionally well. I am actually a massive fan of this type of translucent blue plastic they've used for the windows. I definitely do believe that the colour palette here has been distributed exceptionally well, and if they would have gone for a black or a clear plastic, this figure definitely would not have looked as good as it does in the vehicle mode. As you can see, the tail lights too have been picked out in a red paint, and the hubcaps have also been detailed fairly nicely, have the VW logo in there and have been picked out in a silver paint, as so as the door handle and this room going around the vehicle. Overall, I just think that this is an absolutely fantastic looking vehicle mode, and if you follow my instruction segment, which will be straight after this section, you will know how to actually transform it properly so that it does roll very smoothly along the ground, as I have it doing here. There is not that much clearance, so you do actually have to transform it almost exactly how Takara and Hasbro have planned it to transform in order to get all four wheels rolling on the ground. Now, very quickly turning to weapon storage, all the weapons actually combine in order to be applied onto the vehicle mode. First off, you're going to want to take his cannon and then his sword. As you can see, the same slot there that you used for the robot mode, you're going to want to tab into this section here. So just plug it on just like so. And the same tab that you used on the battle mask to plug it into the back of Bumblebee for storage in robot mode, you're going to want to tab onto this small black peg here. And that is all of the weapons integrated as one big clump. Now, at the back of Bumblebee here, you've got his exhausts that these two plugs here will peg into. So just plug them in just like that. Make sure that the battle mask is securely on. And there you have got the weapon storage for Bumblebee in his vehicle mode. Now, definitely not the most well-engineered storage. It does just hang out on the back. However, I am glad that Hasbro and Takara have found some way in storing the weapons on the vehicle mode. And if they were to plug them underneath, you definitely would not have been able to get this figure to roll at all. For a very quick size comparison, here is MPM Bumblebee next to the Studio Series Leader Class Blackout. As you can see, the Volkswagen is considerably smaller than the Leader Class helicopter, as it really should be. Of course, it's not in scale, as this is the MPM scale and not the Studio Series scale. But as you can see here, it is definitely considerably smaller than that of a helicopter. Now, turning to the transformation of the figure, as you can see, it does come with a very nice instruction manual, which at first glance looks extremely detailed. You know, it's picked out in colour, which definitely at first glance, as I stated, does look extremely appealing. It looks as if though this is going to be a very easy process. No, that is completely wrong. The instructions halfway through are rendered completely useless. They miss out vital steps that without them you will not be able to get this into its vehicle mode. This is by far the most difficult movieverse transformer I've ever transformed, and I have a lot of movie figures. This is almost up there with the MP-36 Megatron that transforms into the gun. Firstly, you're going to want to spin the figure around, come to these sections here and pull the back fender section outwards until it clips into place like that. Repeat the same process on the other side, just clip them in just like so. You are then going to want to take this whole section and pull it away from this tab piece here, just pull it out all the way like so, and then you're going to want to split the legs. Now, they're more than likely going to flop down, but this just allow for some extra clearance. What you're then going to want to do is swivel it outwards. It is on a double hinge joint, so just pull this whole section out and down just like so. As you can see, the hinge joint there has been pulled out. Repeat the same process on this side. Pull it out like so. You are then going to want to disengage the feet. To do so, you just pull this die cast piece away and fold it down just like that. Come around to the other side, pull this die piece part away, push it down and fold it in. Turning to the front of the figure now, you're going to want to flip up these die cast shins. They do just softly tab into one another, just like that. These pieces here, they're very small, but you're going to want to lift them upwards, just like so. Turning the figure around again, you're going to want to pull these wheels out and then angle these pieces out just like this, because now we're going to rotate this whole foot piece backwards until it will go in to that slot like this. Then fold the foot down, or the toe section down. Repeat the same process on this side. Just angle this section outwards and back to allow for some clearance. Push this section down and then fold them down just like this. You are then going to want to turn the figure around and fold the bottom half of the foot inwards like that until they ratchet and are flush with one another. Turning the figure around, this is definitely the most trickiest part for me, at least with the legs, as this does take a considerable amount of lining up. So firstly, I like to come to these pieces here and just tab them in. You are going to want to give everything a very firm push, otherwise it will probably more than likely come apart. So push that in with some force. What you're then going to want to do is then plug this black bracket section in with one another, then the die cast feet will snap together like so. Push this whole piece forwards so that you're now closing the legs in until you've got something that looks like this. Everything should be squashed together, and then you can begin working on the upper torso section. Turning to the upper torso section, you're going to want to take these wheels here and just unratchet them down like this. They do lock into place for robot mode. You're just going to want to untab them so that they look more as if though they are aligned with the windows. What you're then going to want to do is come around to these wing sections, remove all of the accessories if you haven't done so already, and then take this piece here, fold it all the way outward and downwards. Repeat the same process on this side, fold it outwards and down. These wing pieces here will fold up and this tab here will go into that slot there. Just tab them in. Then you're going to want to take this whole back section here and just put it out over the top of the Volkswagen logo. Then take this whole piece here and just lift it upwards. It is on a double hinge joint, so just lift it all the way up, just so, like that, just so that it is past the head very slightly. You're then going to want to turn the figure around, fold out these sections here. Now this front bumper section is more than likely going to pop off. It is just held on with these very small and not exactly very tight hinge joints there. You will then want to fold this fake bumper section inwards, and do not push it all the way, just push it in like that, otherwise they will pop off and they're extremely difficult and finicky to plug back in. Just push them backwards so that they look like that. Lift these sections upwards just to allow for some clearance, as we are now going to be working on the head and chest section. Move this back piece backwards and lift the head up. Once you've done that, it will allow you to pull this whole piece outwards and slide it up on a double hinge joint so that it is flush like so. You're then going to want to take the head and clip it into place. It will actually tab in. You need to ensure that it is tabbed in, otherwise when we get to folding this section down, it will not tab in at all. Turn to the back of the figure now. You're going to want to just pull these sections out so that when we go to align these, it's a lot more flush and we do not have to finick around with them as much. Turning to the arms, you're now going to want to unpeg this section here and just bring it all the way so that it's forward like so. Repeat the same process on this side. You can see there's a hinge there that you just want to slide this whole section up so that you are left with something that looks like this. Now with these sections, you're going to want to rotate them all the way around so that they are upside down, complete opposites of what they previously were. And then you're going to want to swivel the arms upwards just like this to prepare to take them into these leg sections. To do this, you're going to take this section between the die cast piece and this black piece, just tab it just like so, and slide this whole section down. Come to this section here and you're going to want to make sure that this bumper piece is out of the way and that the wings are as up as they possibly can be. Now this is definitely where things get a lot more difficult. Fold this piece back just to allow for some more room. You're going to want to take these arms and try and just pull them in like so. Just take them here and pull them in. And there is a black tab in there that this section here will slide into. You will feel it just clip into place. You want to make sure that that is tabbed in. And then finally the arms, got 2 tabs on either side, just push them together. Now here I'm going to show you a step that the instructions failed to mention, and something that I found while transforming it back into a robot that I definitely think would have made my first time transforming it a lot more pleasant. There is actually a slight peg there that will actually plug into a small hole on the inside of here. As you can see, there is this tiny little hole there that will plug just into that little peg there. So to do so, you just want to line it up and push in just like that, so that these 2 pieces are aligned with one another. Repeat the same process on this side. It will tab into place like this. Now you're going to want to make sure that all this is aligned fairly symmetrical, so that everything is tidy. Once you've got these sections lined up like this, you're going to want to turn it to the underside, and this die cast piece here where the missiles are, you're just going to want to take it and rotate it all the way down. That will shift the doors and the wheel downwards as well. So just rotate them so that you are looking at something that looks a little bit like this. What you're now going to do is probably one of the most annoying and definitely most finicky parts of this entire transformation. You're actually going to collapse this section over this. Now in order to do so, these pieces here are on springs, so they do pull out like that and they do shoot back in. You're actually going to want to try and pull them out and at the same time push this whole piece in just like that, and then align these front sections up so that you're looking at something like this. If this bumper section comes off, just try and push it inwards so that you're left with something that looks like this. Now although it doesn't look perfect, once you plug this section into there, it will definitely line up a lot more smoothly. Now what you're going to want to do is, there is a slot there that will plug into this black peg here, and this peg in there will plug into there. So it is fairly finicky at the first time to do it correctly. Do have to kind of shoot this piece in, plug it in, and then seal the top just like that, so that you're left with something that looks like this. As you can see, we're now beginning to align the whole front section. Repeat the same process on this side. Until you hear a tab like that. Now once you've done the almost impossible task of aligning this whole front section just like this, and even now it's not 100% perfect, you are now going to want to move on to aligning this section here with this section here and this whole back piece here. Now this is definitely the most fiddly part of the transformation. So in order to start off with, what I like to do is take this whole piece here, pull that out, lift this up just so that it is above this piece, because once you start closing the doors, you're going to probably have to open it all up to pull this out, and that is something that the instructions does unfortunately not mention. Now what you're going to want to do here is get this tab behind this section. So you're going to want to collapse these joints in and just push that in and then bend it like so. Now this is probably the most difficult piece, as you want to get this section here over that tab. Now what I tend to do is put some pressure on this so that it bends it ever so slightly, so that you can just snap it in like that. And 9 times out of 10 it will go in exceptionally easy. Repeat the same process on the other side. So just slide this section in over that tab there until it overlaps, and then just do the same thing on this side. Bend this back, pop that into place, and it will hopefully snap into place just like this. Now coming to this back section here, this is where it gets extremely difficult. You're going to want to bring it all over just like this, and there are some tabs on the inside of there that will plug into the inside of here. Let's try to line it up. What you're going to want to do is try and push these sections in to this back piece here, just so that you've got something to work with. And hopefully these pieces here will tab over the top That one's in. And that one is in as well. And then finally, you're just going to want to close the roof section. There are 2 tabs there that will plug into these 2 pegs here. Push this over the top until you've got Bumblebee in his Volkswagen Alt mode, as he will appear in the brand new Transformers Bumblebee Movie. A very tiresome transformation, but once you've got it transformed, this is definitely one of the nicest end results I've ever had of transforming a figure. So overall, what do I think of this figure? Personally, I think that this is by far the best MPM figure that we have had so far in the line. For me, it definitely beats the MPM-3, MPM-5 and MPM-6 Bumblebee, Optimus Prime and Barricade, just due to the amount of detail, the intricacy in the transformation, the paint effect in the vehicle mode, the amount of accessories that this figure comes with, and just the overall articulation, detail and sculpting. Although it's not 100% accurate to what we see in the movie, I definitely think that it is by far one of the best looking Bumblebee toys / figures that we've ever gotten. Personally, this figure makes me render the Studio Series 1 useless. If you have the option, definitely go with the Masterpiece version. It makes any other version completely obsolete, and this is by far definitely a Masterpiece figure. Hope that you enjoyed this review. If you did, please let me know down in the comment section below. And until my next review, I'll see you then. Thanks for watching.